In this luminous and energizing conversation, my guest shares her journey from Costa Rica to Oregon and from nutritionist to nonprofit co-founder, program manager, and consultant. She reflects on living her core values, love, service, well-being, and growth, while navigating what it means to be an Afro Latina leader in U.S. public health. Whether she's hosting living room dance parties, translating health materials, or co-creating culturally centered spaces like My Hair, My Health, she embodies public health rooted in joy, justice, and intentional legacy. You're listening to the Courageous Public Health Podcast, episode 24. To all the courageous women leading in public health, this podcast is your space to turn up the volume on your courage. This space centers your voice. This space celebrates your passion. This space amplifies your courage. My role? To listen, to amplify, and to stand with you in the fight for equity. My name is Dr. Christy McClamrock. I am an epidemiologist, consultant, the founder and CEO of Courageous Public Health, and the host of the Courageous Public Health Podcast. Each week, I have real, unfiltered conversations with women doing the work of public health about the challenges you face, the power you hold, and your vision for the future. We talk about the authenticity, vulnerability, and courage that you bring, not just to public health, but to every part of your lives. Because courage is about action, even in fear. It's about taking up space, leading unapologetically, refusing to be erased, and knowing you never have to do it alone. If you're ready to turn up the volume on your courage, if you're ready to take up space, if you're ready to smash the racist, patriarchal, cisnormative, heteronormative, ableist, capitalistic systems, then let's dive into this brand new episode. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I'd like to start by introducing myself if you're brand new to the podcast, or reintroducing myself if you're a returning listener. My name is Dr. Christy McClamrock, and I am the CEO of the Courageous Public Health Consulting Firm, where we support public health organizations through workshop design and facilitation and speaking engagements. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest on this episode. Let me formally introduce her, and then we'll jump right into our conversation. Dr. Joyce Senior is an Afro Latina born and raised in Costa Rica. She is an energetic professional known for managing public health nutrition and health equity programs. As a program manager at Oregon State University, she has led the expanded food and nutrition education program since 2017 and was a member of the SNAP-Ed state leadership team since 2021. She is the founder of Dr. Joyce Senior Consulting, LLC, providing English and Spanish translation and cultural competency consulting to various sectors, including higher education and nonprofits. In 2021, she co-founded My Hair, My Health, PDX, a health and wellness nonprofit supporting Black women and their families in Oregon. Dr. Senior earned her PhD in food technology from Clemson University in 2015 and a PMP certification from the Project Management Institute in 2022. She aims to leave a positive legacy guided by her core values of love, service, well-being, and growth. Ready to be inspired? Let's listen to my conversation with Dr. Joyce Senior right now. Hello, Dr. Joyce Senior. I'm very excited to have you here. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be on your podcast, Christy.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for saying that. So we were just talking before we hit record about how you are someone who I found on LinkedIn, and I saw some of your posts and your description, and I was like, I need to invite this person to my podcast. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice. This is the first time we're meeting, the first time we're talking. It's really great. It's really cool. And part of it was your, I told you this before about your core values. Mm-hmm. I love that you have a set of core values. Do you want to tell our listeners what your core values are?
Absolutely. And let me just introduce myself
Yeah,
quickly.
right.
Yeah.
You should probably introduce yourself before you get into your core values. Good point,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. So my name is Joyce Senior Angulo. I go by Joyce Senior. I was born and raised in Costa Rica. Currently live in Astoria, Oregon. Have been here for 9.5 years. I'm a program manager, nonprofit co-founder, bilingual consultant, karaoke queen, all the things.
Yeah. Yes, karaoke queen.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. And my core values are love, service, well-being, and growth. And I think the reason why I try to bring them up as usual, I mean, as often as I can, is because that's really what I want to center in my life right now. I don't want them to be just on paper. I just really want to live them and prioritize them. So that's why I repeat them as often as I can. Yeah.
I love that so much. Are you going to be like me and get them tattooed next?
Maybe,
Maybe. I mean, that's
maybe.
a way. That's definitely a way to lock it in,
Yeah,
not forget
absolutely.
it.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really lovely core values, and I'm curious. When did you realize that those were the values for you? Like, is that something new, or is that something you've known for a long time? You've had that
I mean,
list.
I've known it for a while. I did take it was kind of like a course on leadership, and through that course they made us do all sorts of assessments. And I love assessments. I love learning more about myself and uncovering, like aspects and things about me. And when I finally got to those like top four, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. This feels good. But then, and I think this was during the pandemic, so or before, right before the pandemic. And then, I knew what they were, but they were just kind of like on paper. I wasn't really like living them.
Yeah.
And through all the things that have happened since the pandemic, I decided, no, this is what I really want to center and prioritize. Because I think that's what's really giving me purpose. Um, and yeah, and I do want to leave a positive legacy. When I leave this world, I constantly think of how can I become a good ancestor. And
Oh,
I
love
think
that.
part of that is making sure that I am centering my values and prioritizing them. And yeah,
It's intentionality. You're
yeah,
talking about being intentional, and
absolutely,
yes,
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 yeah.
fantastic. We're almost like getting into the last question about vision, but right?
Sorry.
No. I led you right there. I led you right there. Okay, so let's back up and start with the first question, which is about your courage.
Mm,
So I love to always remind our listeners that bravery is about taking action without fear, but
mm,
courage is about taking action despite fear. And so I am really enjoying with this podcast getting to hear my guests' stories about courage in their life, and your professional life, and your personal life. So yeah, what would you like to share? I'd love to hear.
yeah, and that's an amazing question, and I absolutely love your platform, and like speaking on courage. That's so important, especially nowadays. Um, for me, the experience that I immediately thought of was the decision of leaving my country, Costa Rica, and move to the U.S. to pursue a graduate degree. My background is in nutrition. I'm a foodie. Like I love food. I think that's why I went into nutrition. And once I completed my undergrad, I'm like, okay, I really want to see if I can make this dream happen. But I had to think of like, okay, I'm leaving my country, everything I know behind. to start a new life in a different country, different language, different culture, and also, get to a university and try to like excel, like in classes and all the things. So yeah, and actually this week is my 14-year anniversary of moving to the US. That was on Monday. So I've been kind of like celebrating all week.
Congratulations. This is
Thank you.
exciting. Yeah.
Thank you. But
I'm
that's
glad you're celebrating that.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, this was perfect timing for the podcast. So yeah, I think it's something that I celebrate, and I know that my life would look completely different if I hadn't made that decision. And at that time, it was like everything lined up for me to like make that happen. I finished my degree, went into like an informational session for Clemson University. Back in the day, they had this really awesome recruitment program in Latin America. So they would send back, students from specific countries to recruit and, bring more, international students into the grad school. So I did that. Then the next day I went to like a one-on-one session, and then I let it go. I was like, okay, well, that was cool. Let me just keep looking. A month afterwards, I got an email. At first I thought it was spam, but they basically had said that because of my resume and my accomplishments, they were inviting me to go visit campus. They would cover all costs, and I would be there for 3 days with other, potential students from other countries, and have the opportunity to meet with professors, see if I could find someone who would have funding to support me. And yeah, all of that happened. I got there, got to connect with an amazing professor, Dr. Catherine Kaysen, who became my, my dissertation advisor. And yeah, I mean, I think it was like bam, bam, bam. Everything just started happening. Like everything that needed to lined up. And August of 2011, that's when I started at Clemson University. And then 4 years after, I graduated with my PhD in nutrition education.
Wow.
And then again, it was the decision of like, okay, I can go home or I could stick around and figure out if I can get a job here. Decided to stay because, I knew that, there would be more opportunities here than back home. And so I think I started applying for jobs like a year in advance before I, finished my degree. And finally got an opportunity to interview with Oregon State University. So I came all the way out here, interviewed, got an offer. So moved all the way from South Carolina to Oregon for work. And this is where I've been for the past 9.5 years. It's been quite a journey. But I think life has been giving me opportunities that I just been able to just grab because, if the opportunity is there, you have to just go through it and, be courageous. And maybe I didn't have all the answers and probably I was scared to death, but I still did it. I did it afraid. So, and I have no regrets. I think like the most rewarding things that I've done in my life have taken a lot of courage, a lot of, being comfortable with being uncomfortable because, navigating spaces that are not necessarily designed for me, for, like an Afro Latina to thrive. It's been quite a challenge, but I think I have risen up to that challenge and made things work. Because I guess that's just part of, who I am. And, so yeah, probably that decision was really like life changing and probably one of the ones that took the most courage, but has been also like one of the most rewarding as well.
That's such a beautiful example. And, yes, the unknown is scary. Yeah. And that's why it's courage and not bravery. A lot of things that we do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do it anyway. And it's so great when there's such a positive payoff, like when there's a payoff, I guess, that's rewarding. And I think what happens is when we do something courageous and then it's like, oh, that created a win, then it actually makes it a little bit easier to do the next courageous thing and the next courageous thing. So yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to move from courage to power, this idea of power, of claiming and expressing your power.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned this already, but especially in spaces that may not always welcome that. I'm curious about how you express and embody your power as an Afro Latina doing the work of public health.
Thank you. And I love that question too. I think for me is trying to be present, even in spaces where that, again, are not designed for me, but trying to like be present. And especially in a state like Oregon, where, like the Black population, Black and Brown population it's not that big. Just the fact that I'm here, I know I'm making a difference, and, I try to bring my radiance and positive energy wherever I go. And, I've also tried to be a servant leader. So it's not just about me leading others, but how can I serve others and how can I open doors for others? How can I equip others with resources and empower others to kind of like step up to the plate? Because also it can be exhausting. It can be exhausting to be the only Afro Latina in like spaces. It can get really exhausting. And if there's one thing that I want to see is, just more people that look like me in spaces that I, get to navigate currently. So yeah, I think for me, it's a lot about, just bringing my radiant, authentic self wherever I go. And also, leveraging like the opportunities that I have received since I got to Oregon. I'm part of the extension service. So that's kind of like the community engagement branch of the university, and work as a program manager for nutrition education programs. And so through that role, being able to also, invest into my passion projects. So one of them used to be a community program we were doing through the university, which is called My Hair, My Health. My Hair, My Health is actually a program that started in California, in San Bernardino County. And so, so my colleague at the time and I, we went down to San Bernardino. We met the creators that work at the public health department in San Bernardino County. They were amazing. They were so helpful and generous. They gave us a lot of resources. They gave us their blessings so we could bring the program back to Oregon. And this was over 9 years ago. So yeah, we started implementing it in the Portland metro area. And My Hair, My Health is a program to promote beauty and wellness from the inside out. It's specific for Black women and hair. Why? Because hair is a very important topic in our community. It's our crown and glory. And, we are constantly policed in terms of what kind of hairstyles are quote unquote professional or not, or, what looks presentable or not. So we're trying to kind of like break out of those kind of like, Eurocentric, beauty standards, because we're also using a lot of harmful chemicals and putting them on either our bodies, our skin, our hair, which are also, creating a lot of disease in our bodies. So just kind of like reclaiming that and reclaiming our health through talking about hair. And so the way we did it, we have done it here in Oregon for the past 9 years is, we are trying to, to build a collaborative village through classes and workshops, events. We have an e-newsletter that goes out twice a month. And, just provide, information and resources, that allow our community to make better informed decisions about their health and their bodies. And so we were part of Oregon State for 5 years. And in 2021, we decided, okay, we're going to build our own thing to make sure that we can really bring, all the kind of like gamut of topics that the community wanted to talk about, from social justice, financial literacy, holistic healing, cultural food traditions, movement for body and soul, mental health. And so I think that's the way we took our power back. It's like, okay, we're going to build this organization from the ground up. It's been a lot of learning as we go, because it's not like nobody gives you like a manual when you start a nonprofit. So it's been a lot of learning as we go, for sure. But it's been myself and Adejoke Babatunde, who's like my sister from another mister. We're not co-workers anymore, but we are connected through the nonprofit, and, we're sisters for life. And building something so beautiful with, someone you love is just really, really special, which I also consider part of kind of like my legacy building, and what I'm leaving behind when I leave this earth. But yeah, that's one of the ways we have kind of like, or that I have reclaimed my power, just starting kind of like my own thing. And, very grateful for, our beginnings, and very grateful for where we are right now, and kind of like the potential for growth, is there. I do know that, currently getting funding for nonprofits is becoming increasingly more challenging. But again, this is why I go back to my core values and what I'm trying to center. And that kind of like gives me that drive to, keep moving forward, for sure. So that's one way that I took kind of like my power back. The other way, I would say, during the pandemic, I also started thinking about, if I wanted to diversify my streams of income, because, financial health is also part of, health in general. I said, well, it has to be something that I love to do, I'm really good at, and people constantly ask me for. And that was translations, and it's something that I've been doing informally since I got to the US. At Clemson, I would review surveys here, translate flyers, things. Same when I came to Oregon. But then during the pandemic, the university realized they didn't have that many resources in Spanish to support Spanish speaking families. So we got into like a really intensive process of translating, transcreating, transadapting materials. So I was like, ding, ding, ding. Okay, this is it. Yeah, it's something I love to do. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna start my consulting business. So I started with my LLC in 2023, which is drjseniorconsulting.com. And, I've been able to work with, nonprofits, for-profits, small projects, bigger projects, and everything in between. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. Like right now, I do see myself as a consultant, long term. That's what I would love to continue to do, and the nonprofit as well. So yeah, those have been two ways that I've been able to just kind of like, reclaim that power and be like, okay, these are talents and gifts that I have, and I want to put them to good use, in service of humanity. So, yeah, absolutely. I think those two things are really, bringing me a lot of joy. Not necessarily like making me a millionaire, but definitely filling my cup and making me feel very fortunate and blessed that I get to do what I do.
Okay. Yeah. I love that you are talking about your radiance. You mentioned that a couple times, and yes, you are radiant. And the fact that you know it and you bring it and you're like, I own it and I claim it is just so beautiful. I mean, it's just so great.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Christy. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. And the idea of you said your talents and your gifts. And it's like, yeah, like when we have talents and gifts, let's own those talents and gifts and put them to good use.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm really glad that you talked about my hair, my health, because I wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah.
I know that will be interesting to our listeners, and that's just really powerful. And the fact that, you started with one focus, and then you're like, oh, but the community is also telling us that there are other things that they need.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's public health, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's public
Absolutely.
health.
Yes.
We
Yes.
listen to the communities, and we respond to their specific needs.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
beautiful examples.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to talk about vision, which we've touched on already.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanna hear from you your thoughts on your vision for the future
Mm-hmm.
in a couple different arenas. So, your vision for public health,
Mm-hmm.
your vision for your communities,
Mm-hmm.
your vision for Afro Latina women,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you see yourself and other Afro Latina women shaping these futures?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I'm also interested in your personal vision
Mm-hmm.
for your own future. Yeah, so, feel free to dive into any of those. Yeah, lots of options.
Ooh, wait, that's a tall order.
It
I gotta
is.
say, I mean, I did read the questions beforehand, but
Yeah.
this one in particular was it was challenging for me to think about, especially, I mean, with everything that's happened in 2025 since January. It's yeah, I really felt like, oh, I needed to like sit with that question for a little bit, and I probably will continue to sit with it.
Fair. It's totally
Today
fair.
and for weeks and months to come. Yeah, absolutely.
We can always check back in the future if
Yes,
you have
yes,
more thoughts you want to add about your vision. Absolutely.
yeah. But I think in general, I feel like education is the key. I mean, when I think about what has opened doors for me, for an Afro Latina living in a foreign country, education. So I think education is going to continue to be the key. I know there's, the younger generations, a lot of them are really questioning if it really is worthwhile to pursue degrees and do all these things. And I believe it is, because I think it depends on, your purpose and how you want to present yourself. But I don't think there would ever be a situation where like having a degree is like a disadvantage, to like advance in life. It always opens doors. And whenever I'm, having conversations with younger women who are thinking about like, I'm thinking about pursuing my degree, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, think about it this way. Like, once you get that degree, no one can take that away from you. That's something that you're going to earn, and it's going to be yours for life. And it may not be what you're not just going to get like one job and do that one job for the rest of your life. Cause I think like now it's more like, you can switch from here to there. Mm-hmm. But again, it's always a great foundation to have. And I know that, the statistics now show that women are getting more degrees than men, and same with, brown and black women. We are, getting more advanced degrees than men. And I think that's a great trend. I do believe that the future is female, but we do gotta, we gotta continue educating ourselves, because I think that's definitely gonna bring us more sustainable change. And in terms of public health, I would really love to see more collaborative approaches, more multidisciplinary, like studies and projects and, and programs where we can collaborate with people outside of our field, because we can't keep working in silos. I mean, it's not effective. And I think that's why I love the work that we're doing with the nonprofit, because even though I started with nutrition and nutrition education, I am very interested in social determinants of health as a whole, and how, like the environment, impacts the individual, and, not just looking at one particular thing and trying to keep putting kind of like the responsibility on the individual to, create that behavior change in their life. Because sure, we can create some, eating plan. So, that looks amazing on paper, but what happens if that person lives on a food desert? Right. Or, they don't have access to public spaces, for, like exercise, physical activity. So we got to bring back all of those different components of health, and not just work in like one thing and think that one particular thing is going to solve everything else, because, that's just not the way it works.
That's not the world we live in now.
Yeah. No, we are connected. And yep. I think, one of the things that I've been thinking about in regards to the future is how, we're all living in our phones now, and how we all get fed specific information based on what we already believe in. So how the algorithm can just, put us in like a deeper rabbit hole if we're not cautious and make sure that we are really checking our sources, and, trying to, see the contrasting opinions, and not just because I think this thing and I found something online, it's true. No, not necessarily. So figuring out ways to kind of like keep creating that critical thinking, I think that's very important. And I think that interdisciplinary kind of like approach to, like work, is going to be very important, so we can contrast ideas and opinions, which is always healthy. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah.
I think that would be very boring too. So yeah, I think it's important that we keep, looking for that knowledge, but also kind of like checking and seeing that we have kind of like everything on a scale, Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking in terms of public health. As an Afro Latina, I would say the same thing. I feel like we gotta come together, because, and this is something that I noticed when I moved to the United States. There seems to be an obsession with labels. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you? How do you identify yourself? Back home, I was Black and I was Costa Rican.
Yeah.
But here I had to figure out, how do I want to like identify myself? And whenever I filled out like some sort of survey, and, they ask you to like check what box. Yeah, it's really this whole thing of like creating division, I feel like at the end of the day, we're one race, the human race. And I would really, it would sadden me to see us continue to like fight over labels that, where do these labels come from, in the first place? Do we want to fight over, some randomly labels that we got from like colonialism, or, I don't think it's.
And do they really matter? Right?
Why do they really matter?
Does it really matter?
I don't know. But I think that we gotta figure out ways to come together, and in particular, I know that as an Afro Latina, a lot of the times I still feel like I'm invisible because of our intersectionalities. Like, as a woman, and then being Black, and having been born and raised in Latin America, being a native Spanish speaker, there's not a lot of people that look like me and have that specific background that I can see, like, represented in media, or, just different kind of like aspects of, society. So I think, yeah, we gotta, like this podcast, we gotta keep being courageous and showing up because, otherwise people are just gonna like continue to like assume that a Latina looks a specific way, and or Latinas are not Black or Asian or some other ethnicity. I mean, there's still a lot of myths to kind of like combat and just show that we come in like every color on the rainbow. And and figure out ways to create community, which is another reason why I was also very excited about co-founding a nonprofit, because we want to build community. So I think that's going to become even more important, not just professionally, but also personally. I do think about those ways. So how do we come together? I feel like there's too much division. And that's one thing that I'm constantly thinking about. How can we come together and collaborate and, find common ground? And I think it's going to require, more dialogue and communication. But yeah, I still feel like, the only way to learn about dialogue and communication is, again, going back to education. It's like, but yeah, I do hope that the younger generations do continue to, pursue their dreams, and whether it includes, getting a graduate degree or, even going to college. I mean, I think it's a very personal decision. And there are other ways to gain knowledge other than going to college. I will admit that as well. I think for me, having access to an assistantship when I got to Clemson, that really made a difference, because, I graduated with 0 student loans or student debt. So that's really huge. And I consider myself very fortunate for that opportunity. So, but there's also, certificates and other things that, people can go for that don't necessarily require, like a 4-year degree. But again, I don't know. Anyway, maybe it's because I work for a university. Like I'm always gonna like advocate for education, because it's always an amazing tool. Yeah,
we want people to have access, and we want them to have a choice.
Yes,
right. It's Mm-hmm. The problem is when people don't even have the option. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean that that's sort of my take is we need access. I mean, people need access, so that they can have agency about their own lives and what they want to do. So.
And we do need more programs to support that, because again, if Clemson at the time didn't have that recruitment program in Latin America, I would not be here right now. So it's just kind of, changing that mentality of like, what are we investing our dollars in? And how can we create more opportunities and resources for, those communities that usually don't have access. And that's going to require a lot of policy change, which right now policy just seems to be going sideways. But I am an optimist. I think we can, change things around. And one of the things that I keep telling myself that always grounds me is that everything is temporary. So even a government, everything changes, we're not going to be here forever.
No.
But I think this time is calling us all to, first of all, reinforce our self-care toolkits, because we're going to have to do a lot of that, make sure that our cups are filled before we try to fill someone else's.
So we can maintain our radiance.
Yes.
Maintain that radiance.
And not get burnt out, because I've been there. There's a lot of emotional work that doesn't get accounted, especially for Black and brown communities, navigating spaces, again, that were not designed, for us. And that's something that, usually goes unaccounted for. And we have to figure out how to like keep, centering ourselves and, figuring out like grounding practices and just knowing that rest is our birthright. And yeah, I mean, we do what we can with what we have, but yeah, also trying to figure out how to like release control of the things that we cannot change and kind of like focus on what can I actually change, or how can I, again, use my talents and gifts to do some good in the world. I think if we all embrace a little bit of that mentality, we're going to be in a much better place in a few years. Yeah. Or in the long run.
Yeah, I have to ask you. So is karaoke part of your self-care? Do you consider karaoke part of self-care?
Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely. It's part of self-care. I also love to dance. I usually have dance parties in my living room. Yeah, it's something that really helps me a lot. Just kind of like, it's kind of like a somatic release. It's like
music.
Yeah. Music, movement. I highly recommend it.
Are these dance parties of one in your living room? Is that what you're saying?
I live alone, so I can dance with my shadow, honestly. Like it's
love that. I love that.
Yeah, as long as there's good beats, I'm moving. Yeah.
You're in it. Fantastic. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, thank you. This has been really great, and I love your energy. I love your radiance, and I love your values. I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much, Christy. Again, thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit more about myself and my journey. And the fact that you're making space for voices like mine, that just speaks volumes about your values as well. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really, it's an honor to do what I do. Okay, so I want to make sure that our listeners know how to connect with you, to learn more about you and your courage.
Yeah.
So what is the best way?
Professionally, I would say LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Dr. J Senior on LinkedIn. That would be the easiest way to contact me.
Great.
If you want to learn more about nonprofit, it's myhairmyhealthpdx.org. And then my consulting is drjseniorconsulting.com.
Okay, that's great. So we will include all of those links in our show notes, which can be found on our website. And yeah, just great. And I'm really excited to stay connected with you.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, thank you, Christy. Thank you.
Sometimes courage is saying yes to your values, even when the world expects something else. Sometimes courage is claiming beauty on your own terms. Sometimes courage is trusting your ancestors and building a future they'd be proud of. Dr. Joyce Senior shows us that courage can be intentional, joyful, and deeply rooted, that honoring your well-being, your identity, and your calling might just be the most powerful legacy you leave behind. You can connect with Dr. Joyce Senior on LinkedIn, on her consulting website, and on the My Hair, My Health website to learn more about her and her courage. All the links to connect with her are on our show notes page, located on our website, courageouspublichealth.com, under episode 24. If you haven't listened to episode 1 of the podcast yet, make sure to go back and check it out. It's where I pull back the curtain. I share why I started Courageous Public Health, what courage really means to me, and how my personal and professional journeys are deeply intertwined. I also share why I'm committed to standing on the legacy of courage, resistance, and leadership that women, and particularly women of color, have carried for generations. Thanks so much for being here. Until next time, stay courageous.
Thank you for listening to the Courageous Public Health Podcast. Visit courageouspublichealth.com to find the show notes for each episode and learn how to connect with us.